guys, LeonardRickLeonard.com, and of course the House of Biceps. So in the last week or so, I've been asked 3 major questions about World's Strongest Man 2017. 1, why does it take so freaking long for us to see the video footage of it? 2, what happened to Terry Hollands? And 3, what about Thor and Eddie Hall? Okay, 1, why does it take so long for the video footage to get out there? Well, it basically comes down to a whole lot of money. I learned a few years ago that basically after running a competition set up for television, at the competition, at World's Strongest Man 2017, basically what they do is they get all of this video footage of the whole contest, before the contest, days before the contest, interviews, tons of interviews, during the contest, after the contest. They get a huge amount of video footage. They put that together as a package and they sell it to all major and minor television networks all over the world. Now, what you see in the USA is actually a little bit different than what you're seeing in the UK, in South Africa, in Australia, and either Israel or Iran, because it seems if one country buys the rights to it, the other one won't. So it's kind of a tricky situation. Now, if you're in the United States, they do show a different programming. It's similar, but consistently different from what you see in the UK. I've seen both variations. The obvious in the Americas, they highlight the American athletes. They highlight what they think the American people are going to want to see. In the UK, they highlight the athletes of the UK and what they think you're going to want to see in the UK. That edition is a little bit similar to what you see on Eurosport that covers all of Europe. A little bit different than what you're going to see from Russia, South Africa, and Australia. But what they do is they sell this package to every country. They generally have some kind of contract that they cannot show it until they're finished selling it to all these countries until the year 2018, which is generally why you either see it around New Year's or shortly thereafter in the next year. So the long story short, there's a whole lot of money involved and it takes time. They want to be sure and sell it and get the most money possible. 2, what happened to Terry Hollands? Now, I'm a big fan of Terry. I've known Terry for a long time. Always been a fan of him and his character. His personality and character make him who he is beyond the athlete that he is. All came down to the axle press. He got a big 0 on the axle. Axle is a terrible event for him. He went into the contest expecting it to be a Viking press for the press event and the preliminaries. He was ahead, knew he was going to lose some points on the Viking. Came down to the axle. All he had to do was get 1 rep. 1 rep was going to give him, I believe, 3 points. 0 reps didn't give him 3 or 2, it gave him none. All he needed was 1 rep on the axle, and that was probably going to put him into the finals. Going into the stones, he still had a shot. He's got a nice little, what he called pull. I'll tell you, it's a full-on tear in the hamstring. Got a hamstring tear, which he is prone to. Big tear gets a tear in the hamstrings on the stones. So that hurt him a lot. It just... it was crushing to me. I know it was crushing to him. He needed to get to the finals. If he got to the finals, I believe that you were looking at a top 5 finish for him in the finals. What I think is interesting, you look at the 2 guys, and everyone said he had the hardest group for preliminaries, going against Nick Best and Zavickas. And there are a lot of big names in his heat. Now, I won't say his heat was more difficult than all the others. All the heats at that level are absolutely ridiculously hard. But I wanted him to win. So thought he was going to do well after the first couple of days. Didn't go that way. But you look at the 2 guys that beat him, Zavickas and Nick Best, they finished last in the finals. We'll know more when we see the footage next year. Far too, what we're done talking about all this is going to come back up again next year. Maybe that's why they don't show it for a long freaking time. They want people to talk about it after it's happened, and they want people to talk about it again 6 or 7 months later. More exposure. I don't know. But I personally think Nick Best and Zavickas had a brutal dogfight to come out on top. And I follow Nick Best a lot. I know he's a dog fighter. I mean, if anybody's a pit bull, it's him. I mean, he pulls it out of nowhere. 48 years old. 48. Makes the finals. What to say? What to say? Those guys are absolutely awesome. But that's my take on Terry. Terry, why couldn't you have made it? Crushing me. All right, now my opinion. I'm going to give you my opinion on the Eddie Hall, Thor controversy. Basically, Thor came out after the contest and said he believes he was robbed. In not so many words, and I think that's been expanded upon and blown up way bigger than what he meant for it to come out like. He felt that he was called for double dipping on the Viking press. From seeing the videos, it didn't seem like he double dipped, but it didn't look like he completely locked out the rep on his last rep. The thing is, the judge didn't give you the rep. Whatever. If the judge thought your face looked funny, he didn't give you the rep. It didn't count. You could have been stronger and got another one. Eddie Hall went after and did what he had to do, got the 15 reps to win the event. He got the numbers. I don't know how else to say that. He did it. I don't know. And then there was some controversy about the stones. What to say? What to say? So let me give you the conspiracy theory idea that I have. All right, the biggest two money makers in strongman over the last, well, let's say 2 years has been Eddie Hall and Thor. You have Eddie Hall, that's the superhuman, insane strength, crazy guy, world's strongest deadlift. He completely sells out every show because he's a maniac. And they've blown it up to the proportion that they made a documentary about him. And then that caused controversy. They've, came out with all of these claims about health, and he's willing to die, and he's willing to take things farther than anybody else will. Think about that. How do you think it makes the other athletes feel when somebody spreads that rumor? And then you have Thor, star of Game of Thrones. All right, now really, how many episodes of Game of Thrones was he on again? How long are you going to ride that wave? But any way you want to look at it, these guys are giants in their own right, and they have made more money for strongman, the people who run strongman, than any other athletes around for the last couple of years. Now, these athletes, by contract, are not supposed to be out talking about what happened. Eddie Hall's already came out and said, I won. They did a big show on him on BBC and said, I won World's Strongest Man already. Doesn't really care. I mean, he's won, and he's retiring. Or at least he says he's retiring. Now, do you think the people who's making all the money off of Eddie Hall really want him to retire? So normally, if someone came out and said, I got robbed, chances are pretty good that the guy that didn't give you the down signal in the Viking press might also generally be the same guy that writes your paycheck. If 2017 happened just like about every other year of World's Strongest Man happened. What, like everybody forgot about Mark Phillippi and Glenn Ross? Nobody remembers that year that Mark Phillippi came out and complained after the competition that the Atlas stones were supposed to be for the strongest man, not the tallest man? He didn't make it back to World's Strongest Man. Or Glenn Ross. Oh my gosh, Glenn Ross. This is the rumor that I heard, and it's so good I'm going to spread it again. Anyway, Douglas Edmonds owned and ran World's Strongest Man. Glenn Ross and Douglas Edmonds got into a little argument, which ended up with Glenn Ross ripping Douglas Edmonds' famous hat off his head and throwing it into the fireplace. And guess who never got invited to another strongman competition again? I don't even know if that's true, but it's such a good rumor. I believed it was true, and I'm going to spread it again. So this is what I believe. I believe the people who run World's Strongest Man encouraged Thor to make some sort of comment, or at least they've refused not to punish him, because it's probably in their contract if he goes out and complains or really talks about the competition and the results, which no other athletes did except for the one that retired, that he's going to lose his winnings and earnings. Maybe never get invited back again. So I think they encouraged him to go out, start some kind of controversy, because they don't want to lose their meal ticket. Eddie Hall. They're ready for Eddie Hall to come out of retirement already. I mean, how good's it going to look if everyone knows that Eddie Hall's already retired, and then it airs on TV 7 months from now? Man, that money ticket just went down the toilet. So that's the conspiracy theory idea about Eddie Hall and Thor. And that wraps up my conclusion of what I think about World's Strongest Man 2017. We'll see you next year, guys.